Hey everyone, in this tutorial I'll go over how to use Three.js nodes in Nodysseus. They work well with Nodysseus structure and unlock many advanced techniques for working with geometry and materials, including Material X nodes. To start, go to nodysseus.io. You'll either see this Hello World example or, if you've used it before, the last graph you opened. Click the output node at the bottom and change name to Three.js node example to take a look at what we'll build. Here you can see what's showing in the background, a torus geometry with a zoomed out Vec3 noise texture. We're going to start building our graph from the Three.js boilerplate graph, so open that graph the same way as the Three.js node example from the bottom node. The first thing we'll do is create a torus mesh. Find the objects input to the at3.setup node and click plus arg0 to add an input node. The objects input contains all the objects we want in our Three.js scene. Change the new node's graph to at3.mesh because we're creating a mesh, and click plus geometry to add a geometry input. Change the node's graph to at3.geometry and click on or tab to the value field. A drop-down of available options should come up. If it doesn't, click a different node and then click the geometry node again, and choose or type torus geometry. You should now see a torus on the screen. Next, we'll create material input to at3.mesh in the same way that we made the geometry input. Set this node's graph to at3.node and choose or type mesh standard node material into the value field. Once this is done, we need to make sure the mesh isn't being recreated a bunch, so click the plus icon between the at3.mesh node and the 3.setup objects input node. This will create a new node in between those nodes. Make the new node a atMemory.graphChangeCache node. This node will only recalculate its value input when any of the nodes above it change. It's useful for making sure we don't do things more often than we need to, like recreating geometry. We can't see anything at the moment because there's no light. Go down to the objects node once again and create a new input node by clicking plus arg1. This node will be a at3.light node with the value set to hemisphere light. That's super bright, so we're going to change the hemisphere light's arguments by clicking plus args to an array containing the sky color 0xCCCCCC and the ground color 0x333333. We'll also set the intensity to 0.8. It looks better. Let's atMemory.cache the light, which makes it stay the same until we click recache on the atMemory.cache node. Back to the geometry. After making all of these changes, the graph is a bit messy, so I'm going to click the refresh in the top right to relay out the graph. It looks better now. We want to create a color node input to the mesh standard node material to have our noise texture on it. The new node will automatically be an at3.node. So let's set this to mx_fractal_noise_vec3 from the dropdown. These things in the dropdown are just all of the Three.js nodes available. It now has a noise color. The Material X noises have a UV position as the first argument to the constructor, which we can use to make the noise smaller. Click plus args to change the arguments and confirm that making a UV at3.node doesn't change anything. In order to make the noise smaller, we'll multiply it, which is kind of confusing, by 8. We can click the plus between our UV and noise nodes, change the graph to at3.node, and the value to mul, which will make a multiply node. Then click plus between the UV and mul nodes and change the created node's edges to args and graph to atData.array. These are going to be the arguments used to create the mul 3JS node. Finally, we'll create a float at3.node with args set to 1. This is a 3JS node that just has a value of 1. With it set to 1, the geometry will look the same as before, but we can increase this to make the noise smaller. You can try 8 or even more. And we're done. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and please post in the comments or reach out to me if something's not clear or if you make something cool. Thanks for watching.